Hello?
Yes, you're on.
My name is William Grindley, and thank you for inviting me. Let's begin with the reality of the high-speed rail project as of today. The authority wants to spend $3 billion of California's money building the initial construction section, not segment, in the Central Valley. They say that's okay because all other high-speed rail systems begin with a section and expand in either way. But the ones that have begun with a central section had a large and very, very profitable conventional rail track system before high-speed rail was built. We call the initial construction section the no train to nowhere, since even the authority admits its plan doesn't have enough mileage to get between Merced and Bakersfield. It includes no rolling stock and includes no electrification. So if you approve the voting for the $3 billion of state matching funds, you are going to, in fact, initiate another debt to the state without the chance of recuperating $1 of that. Why that? That's because the future of this project is not in this room or in this city. It is, with all due respect to your deliberations, in the nation's capital, something that both the authors of the 2012 business plan and our authors agree with. Let's go through the numbers. To have an initial operating section north, which is actually the cheaper of the two, although it doesn't look like it on the first glance, the authority needs another gift of $7.4 billion. Okay, the three down there is what they've already given you. The white is what the feds have to kick in here, all right? Plus, they say they're going to use an infusion of $12.4 billion of what are called federal qualified tax credit bonds, or TRIP bonds. That's nearly $20 billion that you want from the state. That's all that little white right there. Now, in the unlikely event that TRIP bonds do become federal law, they could only supply, by S. 1436 of the Senate, a maximum of $1 billion, because the legislation in the Senate says you can only have 2% of the $50 billion that they are proposing. Borrowing the finances to pay for that $1 billion will violate AB 3034, because you'll be borrowing more. Perhaps the authority hasn't been watching the news of the last few years, but the mission of this Just Fails Super Committee wasn't to decide how much more money we can give away, and that's something that you and your fellow legislators ought to be very well aware of, as well as Californians, unemployed teachers, public safety, and health officers know. The state is not exactly flush with cash. Do you think that Congress will allocate another $20 billion for an initial operating section, for which, incidentally, there is no plan B if IOS does not prove profitable? There is no plan B. You suck it if it doesn't get pay for its way. Look no further than to vote 2 weeks ago to zero out high-speed rail from FY 2012, which was after the zero out for FY 2011. It not only passed the Republican-controlled House by 72%, it passed the Democratic-controlled Senate by 70%, including the zero-out votes of both Senators Boxer and Feinstein. At best, getting more federal money is going to be pushing a very large rock up a very steep hill. But wait. To build the IOS North, the authority needs another financial infusion of $4.9 billion. That's 95% of the bond authority's gone at that point. That's $11 billion the state will get to pay back, and I hope you can explain that to the school teachers, park rangers, and highway patrolmen that you're going to lay off. In sum, to only get from San Jose to Bakersfield, not the Basin to Bay, not the Phase 1, the authority is asking you three things: to authorize using up to 95% of the bond authorization, go out and beg another $7.4 billion of grants from the federal governments, and somehow believe that $12.4 billion of TRIP money is just around the corner. If somehow all those miracles happen, you'd be spending $31 billion essentially from San Jose to Bakersfield. That's nearly the entire amount that was promised voters, $33 billion, when they voted for this back in 2008. The rush to grab federal grants, free money to them, produced not only poor planning and community outrage, but has seriously damaged the credible financial plans that are now proposed. Building the no train to nowhere has not only become the laughingstock of this nation, it will be a waste of state and federal money if built. To think the deficit-ridden federal government is going to pony up another $20 billion for an unproven initial operating section borders on fantasy. In conclusion, the authority has already spent over $500 million on this project and is asking you to find another $31 billion to just might be able to prove a profitable proof of concept. And again, there is no plan B if it doesn't fund. Think of that $500 million you already spent. That would have paid the tuition and fees of 10,000 students at UC Berkeley for 4 years. If one of those students had gone to Silicon Valley and started a great company, that company would employ many, many more people than this project ever will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Grindley.